Hello. I want to tell you a story, and I really want you to listen. I'm sorry about the birds in the background, but I'm in the bird room, and that's just where I feel comfortable because I've never done this before. So please do listen to me about my story, because I describe New Zealand police as devils, and I want to tell you a story after dealing with them all my life in various ways. I want to tell you one story about one cop called, I'm not going to say his name actually, because I call him MC. And MC, well, one day it was my birthday, and I hadn't gone out for a while because I'd had some traumatic experiences with cops and perpetrators, and so this girl asked me out, and it was my birthday, so I decided to go out with her to a pub I'd never been before, and they had a DJ, and I absolutely loved it because I just love music and dancing and happiness. But there was this guy there from Raglan. I went to school with him, but he was living in Raglan, and he was, I would say, my stalker, and he was out to get me, and he was just crazy. He was a firefighter, but I'd say that they just got rid of him because he was crazy, and he spent every day at the RSA, whatever you call it, just drinking, and with the local cop, who just went drinking every day and picking up girls. And so he got crazier, but he was basically my stalker. He was really angry with me for walking away from him, because apparently I was his girlfriend. Anyway, he set me up and attacked me that night, and during that time, well, I went to pick up his phone, and he went to punch me in the head, and the bouncer was nodding because he'd told the bouncer stories about me, and he was going, go ahead. So yeah, instead of giving it to him, I threw it, and it was smashed, and it was an $80 phone. Well, not even that. It was not a smartphone, it was just a cheap phone. And of course, he just lost the plot, and he chased me, and he grabbed me, and he assaulted me. And luckily, there were other people around watching, and he turned around, and he said that I had all these stories about me being his ex, and how I was the horrible thing, and hurt him and ripped him. It just was this nonsense. But anyway, he had taken my bag and phone, but I just ran away. And then later on, I called the cops and told them what happened, and the cops came along, and one of them, I wasn't really thinking or putting anything together at that time, but one of them was MC, and I had met MC before because he had come into my home, and he said, sorry, to lock me up. He said, obviously the cells were not good for you, so we're going to take you to the mental hospital. And luckily I had called a mental health worker and told him to come up, and he dismissed him and said I was alright. I had given him an email of a complaint about other cops. Not a complaint, but a story. Yeah, I guess it was a complaint. And it was just to give them the hands up so they knew they made a mistake. And he said he would email it through, but then when he got the email, of course he didn't, but he read the complaint. So that's just quite interesting. So this guy, he's a bit of a jerk, right? He comes along and he just yells at me, and he's just a jerk. He doesn't ask me any questions or anything. He just takes me home, and then I had said something about another officer, and he said, "Don't talk to me like that. I'm doing you a favour by taking you home." And he put me up against the fence, and so, like, I just waited for them to reverse and was pleased to get rid of them. But unfortunately, when I walked in the house, the phone was ringing, and it was my father. And apparently, this guy was trying to find out where I was, and he was ringing my friends and everybody and telling them stories. And yeah, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning probably, and he was waking everyone up and trying to track me down. And so actually I just rang the police knowing that they weren't going to come on a Saturday night, and you know, I just had enough, and I just said I was going to kill myself. So 2 cops came, and I said to them straight away, "I'm okay," and I told them what was happening. And then the phone rang, and guess who it was? It was this guy himself, the stalker. And I told one of the cops everything that had happened and about the abuse. And what they did was they went and they picked up, I told them I would pay for his phone, and then they had to go and pick up my bag and my phone because he had stolen that. And they came back with it, and I didn't say anything, they just left. But the next day, I'd just been out with my family, and after all this, I just felt, you know, so beaten up and just low. And I was we were out for dinner, and they gave me my presents, and they were lovely, and it was lovely, but it was just so hard to hide my trauma and what had become of the world when I opened my eyes. And that night I went to bed and was woken up, and the cop said that they basically wanted to shut this crazy guy up, and they were arresting me for a broken phone. So they didn't care about the assaults or the fact that he had stolen my stuff or anything like that. They just decided that they would lock me up for a night. And they the only thing I could say, because the officer was the one I had told the whole story to that was arresting me, I said, "I'm disappointed in you," and that was that. So when I had, you know, gone through the cell, stayed in the cells and gone through the court process, they gave me a trespass notice, and it had his address on it, and I was not very happy to see that he had moved and he was living on the next street around the corner. And I don't know why they gave me his address, because this is a process they use, because if I was really stalking or hurting him and he was scared of me, why would they give me his address? But that is just part of the whole process of nearly 14 years of my life of this bullshit. So what happened was I complained to the area commander. And I told him that story, and I just told him the story matter-of-factly, and the appalling behaviour of this cop, and he came back with, "Get over your obsession with a pub and with the police." Well, does that make any sense to you? It doesn't make any sense. What it is complete provocation and mind control. They just wanted to break me, and they were doing that, and I was alone. But now I know this is what happens to a lot of people, but I didn't know what to do. I'd been drinking that day, and I fell in the trap, and I lost my cool. What I was thinking about was another area commander of another part of Auckland, New Zealand. I had contacted him because I thought that he would help me, and that he wouldn't be in this web of local police and what they were doing to me. So I had cried out to him previously, And he turned around and he had just yelled at me and basically spat in my face like they all do. So with me losing my call, I rang to speak to him, and his secretary answered the phone. I told her I was really angry with him, and I told her I didn't want to hurt him, but I was really angry. And for some reason she put me through to his answer phone, and I left an angry message. And well, then I heard sirens coming. They were coming, 2 cars with police sirens coming up the road, and they were coming for me. That was extremely traumatizing, because I don't know what's going to happen when I hear sirens now. And worse, they put the sirens on when I was inside the car. So anyway, I panicked, and I think I rang my lawyer, and I just said, forget about it, I'm out of here. I don't know what I said. But then the police, they came, and I was outside up top on the steps. My dog was on the couch, and she was in a lot of pain. She looked like a red pit bull. She was friendly, but a red-nosed pit bull. Everybody was afraid of her, and she was good protection. Nobody would go around to my property, but my dog had cancer, and it was the day that she had decided that it was too painful, and she didn't want to get up. She was not interested in what was going on around her. So when all these cops come running through my backyard, I got a fright, and I just yelled out, no. And then MC, he come running up, and he's about a young cop in his 20s, you know, well built, and he comes running up the stairs, and I guess I stopped running because there was nowhere I could go. And the next thing I know, he just grabs me and he throws me down the stairs. And I went tumbling down the stairs, and I landed on the concrete at the bottom. And I can remember getting up and saying to him, well, you hurt me now. Are you done with it? Can you stop? And he grabs me, and there were brick walls and a path. And I remember just going for this brick wall. And then the next thing I know, I was lying next to my bird aviary, one of them, and there were cops all over me, and they were putting the cuffs on me. And so whether it was just too traumatic, or you know, I was unconscious, I don't know, but they did, you know, had a head injury documented. They said they get up and started to pull on my cuffs, and I've had my shoulders ripped off before if I don't get up fast enough. So I got up really fast, and I walked with them down the driveway, and I didn't say anything. And then when I went to get, they put a spit mask on me, and they bound my feet and my arms, but I can't remember really them doing. I can't remember every second of every detail, but when they went to put my feet in the car, the driver, his name was Kwong. He had really good vibes, and so he went to put my feet in the car. I don't know why, because I was quite capable of doing myself, and that kind of annoyed me. I guess I was feeling pretty agitated after what they were doing, and so I went to move my feet myself to say, I can move them myself. And I just smiled at him, and he, I guess he was the person that I was supposed to have kicked. So, pretty disappointing. After that, I got to know Kwong a bit more through the next few years. So in the car, I said to the MC, do you like to hit girls? I was trying to make him feel guilty, and I was fuming, of course. I was disgusted. So Kwong, he asked, what did she do? And MC said, she threatened Inspector so-and-so. So I knew that I hadn't threatened him, but realised then that this junior constable had told the seniors that I had threatened, and this was just custom. I was just getting customary treatment of what happens when you threaten an inspector. So when we got to the police station, this constable with horns in his head, like, you know, he had just a history of him coming in my house and trespassing me from the mall, and then laughing when I cried. And it wasn't just him, he had another senior officer with him, because they're bullies. And so he had come up to me and said, oh help, he was in another car, and and of course I was quite capable of getting out myself, so I just jumped out of the car, and not knowing why they were just treating me like I couldn't move for myself, because, you know, they really want to push and a shove, and they're just fucking animals as far as I'm concerned. And so I just got up and I just yelled at him in his face that I would report him, and he had no idea what I was talking about, because he didn't know who I was, because, you know, he didn't have any brains. And I've just got to quickly say that he is, perhaps it's the cops that vote him on the council and in the hospital board, because everybody loves him and they think he's so great, but he's got no brains, and he's actually a devil. So I went in, just walked in to the custody unit, and there's a big Pacific Island guy next to me, a custody officer, and he says to me, you're not gonna, are you done with your spitting? And spitting to me is a really, the most disgusting thing. I'm a registered nurse, by the way, and I'm really funny about germs and illness, and I was really offended, and of course I was really, really angry, and I had a head injury. And so I said to him, well, I saw MC across this room, and he was writing bullshit about me, and he looked up and he gave me a smile, a smug smile. And I just lost it, and I said, I'd like to spit at him, and I pretended to spit, but I didn't mean to spit. And it was quite obvious, but unfortunately, a little dribble, a tiny wee little dribble, came out, and it landed on the officer next to me. It landed on his stomach. And yeah, I was pretty alarmed, and I was just quickly going to say sorry, but before I could, he just punched me in the face, and I had my handcuffs on. So I went flying across the room. I actually went flying, and then I landed on my face, because when people have their handcuffs on, of course, their face catches the fall. Okay, so after this, I think I just screamed, because I was just, I don't know. I'm not a screamer. I probably never screamed before, but I was just, yeah. So these officers, women and men, they just started taking my jewellery off. Okay, so I can't remember that, because that was a little bit too traumatic. They would take my jewellery off, and I guess they had to pull on my clothes to get to my stomach one, and, you know, they check all over. And they were just like a bunch of animals with hands all over me. And it took me a while. You know, of course, my hands are up in front of me. And this is what they call resisting arrest. When you just don't know what happened, you just got hands, and it's a natural reaction. So this happens to everybody all the time, and they document that as resisting arrest and an excuse for more punishment. So I just lay back and I just relaxed. and it ended. But they still had the spit mask and the cuffs and everything, and they put me in a cell, and the spit mask was actually right in my eye, and it was rubbing, and it stayed there for a long time. And the guy that, I just got to say that everybody was just standing around as if this was just normal. It was just normal practice. And the big officer, he just sat outside my cell looking through the glass, and obviously to me he should have been taken away and dismissed off the force, but the other guy in the cell next to him was, "Why are you staring at him? Are you horny? Are you horny?" And this went on for hours. And I said to him, "You punched me." And he said, "You spat on me." But according, this is what they do when they think somebody is out of control and mentally unstable and delirious. And of course they documented me as being so. My eye, it was just really sore. After a long time, and the only reason I really can think it must have been a long time is because my eye was really sore, and it just felt like it was just scratching on my eyeball, and it was damaged. So I really needed to go for a week. And a female officer, she came in to pull down my pants because I was still in my handcuffs. And as she was doing so, she said to me, "Well, I'm doing you a favour doing this." And I said to her, "Oh, sorry, I thought you got paid." And she just lost her cool. And she pulled them up and she says, "You can wear in your pants." And she shoved me back down on the bed. Yeah, I'm busy. And then, okay. Say something. Baby jelly bean.